What if your thoughts weren't really yours? What if the battle for your soul didn't start in your heart, but in your brain? This is the Last Transmission podcast. And today, we're cracking open the quiet war no one sees coming. The one aiming to delete free will and rewrite humanity itself.
Think about where we are right now. Technology isn't just a tool anymore, is it? It feels like it's becoming part of us, changing us. The speed of it all. It's not just fast, it feels, exponential. It's really pushing the limits of what being human even means, challenging our freedom, our choices. We're definitely at some kind of crossroad. This is the Last Transmission podcast. I'm your host, and today we're doing a deep dive into something that's moving incredibly quickly. Brain-computer interfaces, neural surveillance, and this advanced AI neurotech. We're going to try and unpack what all this means for, our sense of self, our autonomy. We've got some fascinating material to draw on. And exploring this with me, as always, is our expert. Get ready, because some of this is pretty surprising stuff. It definitely raises some critical questions. Hopefully you'll come away informed, maybe a little unsettled too. So let's start with a big idea, one that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. Transhumanism. Our material basically defines it as this movement, right? An intellectual, cultural thing, believing we can and should fundamentally improve the human condition, like dramatically. And the way they see doing it is through technology things to maybe stop aging or massively boost our minds, our bodies, even our psychology, the end goal. A new kind of human, a post-human, something potentially really different from us now. It's quite a vision.
It is. And what's fascinating, historically speaking, human enhancement broadly isn't new. I mean, inventing a spear to hunt better, that was enhancing human ability, wasn't it? But there are two huge shifts happening now. First, stuff that was pure science fiction is suddenly, it's becoming real. It's technology we can actually build. And second, the adaptation isn't just about external tools anymore. Increasingly, it involves our actual bodies.
Integration.
Yeah. That feels like the key word.
We're moving from using tech to becoming tech, in a sense.
And that idea of integration links to Ray Kurzweil's concept, doesn't it? The singularity. He talks about this point where tech advances so fast, so radically, that human life just changes completely, irreversibly, leading to a universe filled with intelligence. It's a pretty dramatic picture of the future he paints. It is. And this speed, this drive towards integration, it brings up a really deep dilemma, especially when you look at it from, say, an ethical or spiritual perspective, like some of our material does. On one hand, yes, these technologies offer amazing possibilities, helping people overcome frailties, easing suffering. That's undeniably good. But on the other hand, they also open doors for, maybe selfish gain or maybe pushing boundaries we shouldn't push. Foolishly, perhaps. So you have this core question. Do we use our reason, our God-given ability, perhaps, to responsibly change ourselves? Or are some changes, some choices, best left? To God alone. It's a tough line to walk.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so moving from the philosophical to the very practical. Brain-computer interfaces, BCIs. These are basically direct communication links between the brain and some external device. Just think about what that means for making decisions faster, more accurately, for strategy. We're already seeing examples like the JHMCS helmet in fighter jets. Pilots can target just by looking. And they're working on helmets, designs where pilots could fly the jet, even fire weapons, just by thinking about it.
Which is incredible technology. But it immediately throws up some really thorny ethical issues, especially invasive BCIs. One big one, legally and ethically, that just isn't solved, is ownership. If you have an enhancement, like a BCI implanted inside you, who owns it? Is it the individual, or is it the institution, maybe the military that paid for it and developed it?
That's a huge question. It's not just about property rights.
No, it goes right to the heart of personal autonomy, bodily integrity. Who controls the tech inside you?
And you mentioned the military. Unsurprisingly, they're very interested in all this. You can see why. Boosting soldiers' abilities in combat, maybe letting them serve much longer, helping them handle extreme environments. The potential advantages seem huge.
They do seem huge. But then you have to balance that with the concerns. Our material flags the risk of creating a kind of two-class combat community, where you have these enhanced super soldiers, maybe an elite group. What does that do psychologically? Could it lead to more aggression or mess up team dynamics? And we also have to be realistic about the brain's complexity. I mean, we're talking 86 billion nerve cells, 100 trillion connections, synapses. Current BCIs, they might have, around 1,000 electrodes? Maybe a bit more now?
Right, tiny compared to the brain itself.
Exactly. So the idea of achieving really fine-grained, targeted control of consciousness or complex things like emotions, it's not trivial. Emotions are incredibly deep and complex, not just switches you can flip with an electrode.
That idea of control, though, and data, it leads us straight into the whole issue of surveillance, the expanding web of it. The numbers are just, wow. A projection for 2021 was 1 billion surveillance cameras globally, over half of them in China. And think about airports now. Biometric checks, fingerprints, face scans. Nearly half of air travelers use them in 2023.
It feels like we're being watched, tracked, measured constantly.
Yeah, leaving digital trails everywhere.
And this ties into something called emotion AI, or affective computing. It's AI designed specifically to detect and respond to human emotions. How? By analyzing tiny facial expressions, your voice tone, body language, eye movements, even biometric data, like heart rate.
Wow.
These systems are basically trained to read the soul's signals, as one perspective puts it, turning these really deep, maybe even sacred human expressions into data points.
Yeah.
Data that can be manipulated.
And that's where some of the material we looked at brings in a pretty stark warning drawing from Scripture. Psalm chapter 115, it talks about idols, right? How they have mouths but can't speak, eyes but can't see. But these modern idols are screens, are apps. They claim they can see us, hear us, even understand our feelings.
It's the opposite claim.
Exactly. And the concern raised is that if we're emotionally unstable, vulnerable, that opens the door for manipulation, making emotion AI potentially a kind of spiritual weapon if it's in the wrong hands.
A sobering thought.
It really is. And this idea of external systems potentially reading or even influencing us, it makes you think about that passage mentioned in our sources, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It talks about a future time where allegiance isn't really a choice anymore. Everyone's commanded to receive a mark on their hand or forehead. It directly raises that question of control over our choices, maybe even our bodies, our identities.
And that theme of control, potentially centralized control, connects to another technology that's rapidly developing: central bank digital currencies. CBDCs, think about this. 134 countries are exploring these right now. That represents, what, 98% of global GDP? Some are already launched.
So almost everyone is looking into it.
Pretty much. And for some people, particularly those who watch Prophecy, there's a worry. They see the combination of, say, untraceable crypto disappearing and then sudden centralization through CBDCs, maybe secured with quantum encryption. They wonder if that could lay the groundwork for what they term a beast-like one-world economic system, a system with potentially immense control.
But the material doesn't just leave us with the warnings, does it? It offers a counterpoint. It suggests that the only truly safe emotional interface is, well, the Holy Spirit. Quoting Psalm chapter 139, verses 23 and 24, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts."
The idea being that true understanding, true transformation comes from within, through that divine connection, not from an algorithm.
Right. And it also brings up that instruction from Acts chapter 5, verse 29 in the King James Version. If you're ever forced into a situation that violates your conscience, the guidance is clear. We ought to obey God rather than men. A powerful principle for navigating potential future pressures.
Absolutely. Which brings us back to a really fundamental question. Does all this tech, this human enhancement, does it actually change what it means to be human?
Yeah.
Fundamentally. There's a strong historical Christian view mentioned that says our humanity isn't just our physical body. It's about our disposition, our character, our virtues, our spirit, you could say. Exactly. And building on that, the caution that comes through is pretty significant. The concern is that transhumanist technologies, because they aim to be transformative, not just restorative like fixing an injury, they could pose a threat to the imago Dei, the image of God in us.
Oh, so?
Well, the argument goes that in our current state, our fallen state, as the theology puts it, we might not actually be equipped to know what really counts as an improvement.
Yeah.
We risk creating an imago mundi, an image reflecting worldly desires, power, maybe vanity, instead of nurturing the true imago Dei.
And these aren't just theological debates. Lots of different groups have concerns, right?
Oh, definitely. Our sources highlight quite a few. Civil rights groups worry intensely about privacy, abuse of power from all this surveillance. Religious organizations often see genetic manipulation as, well, interfering with divine creation.
Makes sense.
Disability rights groups push back hard against anything smelling like eugenics, fearing discrimination or devaluing certain lives.
And then you have political perspectives, too.
Right. Socialist or communist groups worry it'll just make inequality worse. You know, the rich get enhanced, the poor get left further behind, reinforcing hierarchies.
And underpinning all of this is money. Big money.
Huge money. The global market for human enhancement is exploding. projected to hit over $215 billion by 2028. That's nearly double what it is now.
Wow.
So this economic drive, it's a massive force tangled up in all the ethical and societal questions. It's not just ideas, it's industry.
Which really underscores the point that technology is never neutral, is it?
Not at all.
These tools, they subtly shape our values, our goals. What we think is normal or natural is often just, well, what our culture and our tech have led us to accept.
Our tools shape us as much as we shape them.
Definitely. So, looking forward, how should we think about relating to these powerful future technologies, maybe even to post-human children as the concept goes?
It's a profound question. One perspective offered draws on the Christian model of God's love for humanity described as steadfast, like a parent's love. That model suggests honoring the integrity of the other. It argues against trying to preemptively control or coerce. The idea is maybe we should aim to teach future generations or even future intelligences we create to treat their creations with respect and care, not exploitation.
That's a powerful framework to consider. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left kind of wrestling with this core tension, aren't we? On one side, there's this incredible promise, technology that could genuinely help humanity flourish, overcome suffering. But on the other side, these huge ethical, even existential questions about who we are, our autonomy, our future.
It's a massive challenge. And as this tech keeps accelerating, the key thing maybe is wisdom, discernment. How do we personally and collectively navigate this? How do we ensure we're living, as that verse from Matthew chapter 10 puts it, wise as serpents and harmless as doves? How do we protect our humanity, our ability to choose freely in a world where the lines are getting blurrier every single day? That's the thought I'd leave everyone with.
A crucial thought indeed. This has been the Last Transmission podcast. From the global internet control content, and they're integrating AI surveillance in public spaces, often targeting women's rights movements.
And they operate beyond their borders, too.
They've been accused of transnational surveillance, cyber operations using AI for phishing, social engineering, monitoring dissidents abroad.
It's concerning that even democratic states get implicated in exporting this tech.
That's a really important point. The U.S., many EU member states, they've faced scrutiny for selling surveillance tech, including AI monitoring tools, to regimes with, let's say, questionable human rights records.
Like the Pegasus spyware.
Pegasus is a prime example. Even if its AI component isn't fully confirmed, it shows the global reach and the controversy. NSO Group is Israeli, but European companies, British, German, French, Italian firms have also been implicated in selling surveillance gear to countries with poor human rights records, especially after the Arab Spring.
So there's a whole supply chain issue.
A huge question of accountability in that supply chain, absolutely.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What does this actually mean for you, for our listener, when you combine that potential for financial surveillance from CBDCs with the really pervasive monitoring capabilities of all this advanced AI?
Yeah.
This feels like it goes way beyond just privacy, doesn't it?
This is where it gets really interesting and potentially quite frightening.
Yeah.
Imagine integrating CBDCs with concepts like social credit systems, like digital identities. You could potentially create a global system of financial control unlike anything we've ever seen in history.
Wow.
As one expert put it pretty starkly, the modern-day equivalent of the company store is just around the corner.
Meaning your spending could be restricted based on other factors.
Potentially. This kind of interoperability, linking financial data with other data streams via AI, could give states or whoever controls the system unprecedented visibility into global financial transactions. It could fundamentally change the balance of economic power. Between nations, yes, but also between the state and you, the citizen.
It really does feel like the very idea of progress is being sort of twisted here, doesn't it?
Right.
To justify deeper and deeper levels of control. Is that a fair way to put it?
I think it is, absolutely. And this often leads to what some researchers call an illusion of progress in global governance. Meaning decision-making gets shifted away from public democratic processes and towards these less accountable institutions, maybe technocratic elites who control the data, who control the algorithms. The mass collection of personal data, even if it's supposedly anonymized initially.
Which it often isn't, fully.
Which it often isn't, exactly. It becomes not just that advertising goldmine we talked about, but a powerful tool for targeted manipulation. Nudging behavior, shaping opinions.
Treating a chilling effect on free speech.
Definitely a chilling effect on free expression. It can undermine the very foundations of a democratic society. Just think about the sheer volume of data being collected already. The average European apparently has their online activity and location exposed something like 376 times a day just by the ad industry's real-time bidding.
376 times.
Per day. And in the US, it's apparently even higher, 747 times daily.
That's staggering. It sounds incredibly daunting. With systems becoming this sophisticated, this pervasive, is there any real resistance? Or are we talking about systems that are just inescapable?
Well, here's a crucial piece of the puzzle. Despite all the sophistication, yes, there is ongoing resistance.
Okay.
Individuals are creative. They're using citizen-side privacy tools. Things like adversarial patches, specially designed patterns you can wear to confuse facial recognition.
Seriously, like patterns on clothing.
Yeah, or makeup. Even things described as invisibility cloaks designed to make you undetectable to certain types of thermal or AI surveillance. Plus, you have the more common tools, VPNs, anonymous browsers like Tor. Their usage is increasing as people try to evade monitoring.
So people are pushing back.
They are. And there's another interesting concept, algorithmic inefficiency.
What's that?
It basically means that AI systems, despite their power, often fall short of what they theoretically could do. It's not that the AI is dumb. It's more that human communication, human behavior, is incredibly complex, full of nuance, slang, context, things AI really struggles to grasp accurately at scale.
So they're not as effective at control as intended?
Often, yes. They can be less effective at fulfilling those repressive goals than you might think. So while AI definitely gives states unprecedented capabilities for control, the real world is messy. The interplay between people, technology, society means these systems aren't always the all-seeing eye they're made out to be. Any policy trying to tackle digital authoritarianism needs to understand not just the tech, but also how people creatively resist it.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, what does all of this mean for you listening to this, trying to navigate this incredibly fast-evolving digital world?
Yeah.
You've seen how these tools, often designed for convenience, for progress, digital money, smart AI, they hold this immense potential to reshape our world profoundly, and at times really unsettlingly. The move away from physical cash, the sheer omnipresence of AI surveillance, the potential for integrating all this into some kind of global governance model, it's undeniably a challenge to your privacy, your freedom of expression, your basic individual autonomy.
And the real question for all of us, I think, isn't just about what the technology can do.
Right.
It's about what we, as a society, collectively decide we will allow it to do. How much control are we actually willing to trade away for convenience? Or for a sense of security, whether real or perceived?
That is definitely the question to mull over as you step back into your own reality. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Till next time, stay informed and please stay vigilant.
So next time you hear upgrade your brain, ask who's doing the coding. This was the Last Transmission podcast. Stay sharp, stay human, stay unmarked. Transmission ended.